Welcome to PQ, or Professional Quotient. These are conversations that build equity. I'm your host, Jason Winningham, and today we have a very special guest, Alex Ferraro. Alex, good day. Would you like to introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. This is my first podcast experience, so I'm honored. Thank you for bringing me on. Just a little bit about myself. I'm currently in a fundraising and development role with Social Venture Partners Dallas. I love what I do and who I do it for. We're a nonprofit. We are a network of professionals that are passionate about making an impact. We do consulting for nonprofits. We do impact investing. We have an amazing young professionals program and more. So I get to meet a lot of great folks, and I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking time today to meet with us. I'd like to first start with, what does a typical day in your field look like?
My main role is to recruit partners for our partnership network, and getting conversations with folks can be a coffee, it can be a luncheon, it can be at an event after 5 or on a walk. It can really happen anytime. And that's also the exciting part. So the variability is, it's new for me, but it's definitely exciting.
Can I ask how you got into this field?
I've always wanted to do something mission driven. When I came to Dallas 4.5 years ago, I was going to start a nonprofit. And someone talked me out of that. And they said, starting a nonprofit is really difficult, especially if you're just getting started as a professional. And they suggested to me to do a fundraising effort as a project on the side. And I thought that was great. So I went with that. I started something called the Ferraro Foundation. I started fundraising towards it, and I started making small grants to local nonprofits that I connected with, and I was able to tell their story and be sort of a middleman there. That got me into all sorts of groups and networks, and with a local community foundation called the Dallas Foundation. And I ended up meeting the CEO of my current employer there, and he got me involved in the Young Professionals program that we put on, and the rest was history. I told him, I love what you do. I think your program's really differentiated, and I'd love to work for you and be a part of what you do.
First of all, that sounds like a journey in and of itself in just a few years. And so I have to stop and
Yeah.
say, or ask, how did you know how to start a foundation and start that fundraiser? Is that something you went to school for? Did you know somebody in that field? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So no, I didn't know anything about it. The person that advised me knew that I didn't know anything about starting a nonprofit either. So they said you should start a fund at the local community foundation, and they gave me a contact there. And from then on, it was all asking questions. They helped me out a lot in understanding what role I could play and what I could do for those folks. And it was really about learning and being a genuine learner in those contexts.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. On the PQ podcast, we like to really highlight and showcase that professional equity is something that can really help us in our professional careers. And that is the culmination of our skills, our knowledge, our experiences, our education, and the network of people that we have around us. Out of your own professional equity portfolio, what would you say is the most valuable to you?
Definitely my network. Being 25, I say this a lot, everyone's career seems epic to me. They have like yourself, you have a whole career under your belt, and you have so much wisdom and knowledge and a skill set to bring to any situation that you find yourself in. If you want to donate that skill set, or if you want to bring that to something entrepreneurial, or if you're doing something full time, I'm always blown away by the capabilities and the things that the people that I know have done. So network for me.
Was that always something that came easy to you, or did you have to overcome any challenges in order to be able to network?
Right. No, I haven't always been able to do that. I think a major challenge for me was authenticity. A few years ago, I didn't really know what I was going to be doing with my career, or where I would be headed, or what I wanted to do, the industry I wanted to be in, or if I was passionate about a particular area. Since then, I've found that, and something that helped me was being authentic about not knowing. I'm not really sure what I want to do just yet, but I'm really open-minded about where I might go or where things might lead. And I'd be really interested to hear what your thoughts are. And having that level of authenticity, I think, enables you to have a real relationship and have a really deep conversation, which of course is the backbone of networking.
And putting yourself out there and just getting engaged. You can't have those conversations unless you're actually meeting people and getting to know them.
Being in the space, being physically present at events or groups, clubs, anything like that, where you can be physically present with people, that is always my number one suggestion to people who are trying to get involved.
Can you share with us what your first social network was, the first time you entered some networking event like that, like what that experience was like for you?
Social Venture Partners does a young professionals program. I entered maybe 3 or 4 all at the same time last fall. I call myself over involved. They're all kind of parallel and, they're for emerging leaders and young professionals. So the Dana Jewett Residency, named after one of the founders of the program, that's the name of the young professionals group. And when I first arrived there, I thought this could be somewhere where I belong. There was a lot of people my age and folks that were really interested in giving back and being part of the community and seeing where they would lead or where they would end up in impact. So that was really warming, to be in that room and to see people like that who didn't really know yet. And that was actually a big confidence boost to see that I wasn't the only one who, you know, wanted to do something but didn't really know what that was going to be quite yet.
Awesome. And the reason I ask is because I imagine that there's a lot of people out there that know that there are networking events out there, but haven't quite, just bit the bullet and gone and joined them yet. And so I wanted to hear from you that experience of joining it for the first time. And I love that you were sharing that there's other people there that were in that same boat. So it kind of helped. Did you find the group that you went to by just looking online for something to get involved with, or was it somebody that just suggested to you?
Yeah, it was a suggestion actually from the CEO that I work for now, Tony Flake, who runs the company. But I met him because I was in the room for something else. That's kind of the nature of networking and being in those spaces is you run into folks that you wouldn't have otherwise, especially on virtually. So that's a huge catalyst to finding what is right. And, folks who are interested in finding themselves in their professional identity, I think it's also important to see that as a privilege. Professional quotient and having these assets and this equity is a privilege. I think a lot of folks don't get the chance to develop their skill set and their professional identity and who they want to be or how they want to contribute to the community. A lot of times it's more so out of need, right? Economic need or otherwise. And those of us that do have the ability to design ourselves in our own image professionally, we should take full advantage of that and be excited about it. It's a blessing.
Absolutely. And one of the hopes I have through this podcast is we'll be inspiring people to realize that even when they are in a job that's out of necessity, there's still opportunities to develop our skills, our knowledge, our experience, our education, and our network. I started off in a print room in a big corporation, and I didn't quite see how I would navigate out of that. And it was really through those connections, like you're sharing, like through the people connection, because the people that you meet can help guide you and can help shape you in a way and say, hey, have you thought about this? And when we're taking that in, it allows us opportunities that I think when we work on our own or when we're in our own little like silo, we don't see those opportunities. And so that's one of the things and why I really like your sharing about the network being so valuable to you, because it really is.
It's paramount for me, especially for a young person who doesn't have the answers yet. It's important to talk to those who have done it before, perhaps, or just get involved and try to leverage their connections. But it requires being in the space and really, being genuine and having a real friendship.
Absolutely. And just for the record, even older people don't always have all the answers either. I feel like most people are just making the answers up as they go along. I mean, we're constantly on a journey of learning. So, yeah. If someone were looking at your career and saying, I would love to get into that space, into that nonprofit, that connector space, what kind of advice would you give to them?
Well, first, I'd say something really actionable, which is come talk to me, get in contact with me, and I'd love to have a conversation about, how you might be able to get started, very specific to your context or cause area that you're interested in. Really, I think generally I'd offer the advice of enjoying the journey and understanding that most professional careers are nonlinear, and liberating yourself from the idea that it needs to be, like a rocket ship trajectory. If you can go through your development with joy, I'd say that you're living it well.
I like that. And are there activities that you do to continue to raise your skill set, your knowledge, your experience, your education?
Definitely. I actually met Jason in a communications webinar that was helping us develop our communication skills and understanding a lot of psychology about ourselves. Actually, I frequently invest time in things like that, or reading books. There's a lot of self help, professional development literature out there if you're able to invest the time that way.
And I enjoyed meeting you in that communications class. Let me ask you, how did you come into awareness of it?
So that was again shared by my CEO, actually my employer. So that connection's working out really well for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm gotta say, you said my most valuable is my network, and you've repeatedly answered every question with my network.
Absolutely. And one of the great people who ran that webinar is a partner with Social Venture Partners. So my role in my work is also a catalyst for me increasing my network in that way. Or I get to work with a lot of great people and just be in their orbit.
Mhm. That's really cool. I would imagine that you'd have found yourself in more social situations than the average person would because of this.
Absolutely. And I'm pretty deliberate about it. Even if I don't have a scheduled meeting, I'll try to work at a coffee shop where I might bump into somebody and just strike up a conversation. So absolutely, it's intentional, and it's part of the job, but I really enjoy it.
Now, how strategic is your coffee shop selection? Are you like, that somebody important comes to this location, and so you're parking yourself there?
It's strategic. It's strategic. Yeah. Not for one individual in particular, but kind of the folks that will go there might have the ability to give or offer their expertise to nonprofits. Might be interested in our impact. So yeah, definitely strategic there.
I'm impressed. That's good. I like that. I like that. And has that worked out well?
It has. I meet people every day. Sometimes I make a friend, that's not really a professional development related. Other times it is. So yeah, I'd say it's worked out really well for me.
Oh, that's cool. And how do you strike up conversations with people at a Starbucks at a random thing when it's not a purposeful network event?
Well, I'm extroverted, so it comes to me rather naturally, but saying something genuine or being honest, like I noticed you have a really nice computer bag that's, far nicer than mine. Where did you get it? I don't know anything about computer bags. How long have you had it? And those are all true things. So really being authentic, but open to sharing about yourself and being honest. And similar to my other answers, was first step was being in the space, so you'll I think you'd be surprised how many things you notice about other people, or things you might want to say when you're there the whole day, or even a couple
Mhm.
hours.
I love to give my guest an opportunity to spotlight or share any additional thoughts that they would like to do here. So, do you have anything that you'd like to shine a spotlight on?
I really like talking to people who are interested in making an impact. I really think everybody can at every stage in their career. A lot of times when we think about philanthropy or nonprofit volunteerism, we think of that being for those who have time or the money to do so. Social Venture Partners is really good. One of our flagship programs is matchmaking people with nonprofits that have a specific need that they can bring their creativity and their energy towards. So I would love to just plug that, and please come talk to me if you're interested in that space. I would love to, get connected with you and see what you're interested in.
Awesome. And how would they get connected with you? Where are they looking for you at?
LinkedIn, you can find me on LinkedIn, Alex Ferraro, or you can send me an email, first initial, last name, AFERRARO at svpdallas.org.
Awesome. And while I have you here still, and my final question will be this. Since you're meeting so many awesome and well-connected people, is there anybody you'd like
Mhm.
to recommend that we should hear from on this PQ podcast?
I'd like to flip the question, I think, on its head. What I think would be interesting would be to, I assume you're interviewing mostly guests that feel relatively comfortable about their professional development or confident about it or maybe happy about it or proud of it. I think it'd be interesting to hear these questions answered by someone that perhaps doesn't feel, established quite yet, or maybe is currently going through that challenge of how do I get to a point of increasing my professional quotient. I think that'd be really interesting. What do you think?
I like it. And it's funny that you say that because I was just talking with somebody yesterday and trying to convince them to come onto the show and talk about that because that's exactly how they are feeling. So I did not prep you with that. So I'm just like loving the fact that you said that. It's just so thank you for that recommendation. I am trying. Awesome. Well, I certainly appreciate your time. I love to say it, and my guests may tire of hearing me say it, but time is our most precious commodity. So thank you for sharing yours with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. And I will definitely invite you back for further conversations if you're so willing. Uh,
So,
and
yeah, let's
awesome. Awesome. I'm hoping to have some panel conversations in the future because that can also add some real value in hearing from different perspectives at the same time. So, and to our listeners, I just wanted to remind you that if you've enjoyed this conversation, please like, share, and subscribe, and leave a positive review. And be sure to check out our sponsor, Market Scale. And remember that unlike our IQ or our EQ, we can easily raise our PQ every single day. Just keep learning, building, and connecting. Until next time.